we're on these little buses and the whole airport's like blacked out. I don't know why. Like, what are there snipers in Kuwait City? Like, what's happening at this moment? Like, I don't understand what's happening.
Hi, I'm Jim Kirlin, longtime editor of Taylor's in-house magazine, Wood&Steel. This is Wood&Steel, the podcast, where we share stories about the guitars, people, and ideas shaping Taylor today. My co-host today is one of my partners in crime at Taylor, Jay Parkin, Director of Artist Relations and Partnerships. And today, Jay, I think this is going to be a conversation that resonates with you in particular.
Big time.
I know you are a military veteran.
Yes.
And today we want to talk about music therapy in the context of veterans, military veterans who have been impacted by PTSD. And so such an important thing. We're learning more and more, I think, all the time about the benefits of music and learning to play music, et cetera. But we've been working with a great organization for about 5 years now called Guitars for Vets. And so we wanted to bring Nigel Fischer here to talk more about that. And we kind of wanted to share as much as we could about the work that you folks do, because we really are privileged to be part of that. And so we thought maybe we could talk a little bit about the mission of your organization, the kinds of services that you provide. Maybe along the way, get a little bit of your personal story, because it intersects in a really interesting way, I think, with the organization itself. And then we want to talk about some cool guitars, because I know we've been collaborating with you guys to design some fun stuff.
Let's be real.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. So thanks for coming and hanging out with us. I know we've chatted over weeks via Zoom. It's nice to see you in person, not via a screen. So thanks for coming and hanging with us. We appreciate it.
It was so great to be here with you guys. And I'm just really thrilled and grateful for the partnership that we've grown together over the last 5 years, like you talked about. And really this initiative that we're going to dive into a little bit more today has been in the works in earnest for like a year that we've been talking about, from concept to the reveal. Yeah. And so it's just really exciting to see all of this coming to fruition. So much time and energy that the whole Taylor team spent, just the creativity and thought that went into it to make it that perfect match for what we do. And I know that was one of the things that you all wanted to talk about in specific today is what do we do at Guitars for Vets? And, as we think about that, I get approached oftentimes out on the street or, public event, whether it be at the NAMM show or, a conference where I might be speaking about the therapeutic aspect of learning to play guitar. And people go, well, Guitars for Vets, just like it sounds, right? You guys give guitars away to veterans. And I go, well, no. And they look at me real crazy because they're expecting to hear that. And they're not wrong. That it is absolutely on point that we do give guitars to veterans after 10 weeks of lessons where we have a graduation and we award them a brand new guitar that we get to place into their hands so that they can continue making music and have that therapeutic outlet lifelong, because we've taught them the skill up front via those lessons. And then we've given them the instrument that's a quality instrument to be able to play for a lifetime. And so that really is what we do functionally. Mm-hmm. But on the grander scale of life, we're creating community. We're bringing people together from a background of military service, and often in a place where they just feel like a little bit lost. I'm betting, Jay, you probably had some experiences like after you left the military and you just went, hey, this is weird. I dedicated, my life for a number of years to serving our country and serving a cause way bigger than ourselves, right? Like we're trying to take care of those around us. And then that becomes part of you and can be confused with who you are. And so then when you leave, it's almost like part of you is missing. And it's not like you just walk down the street and you go, hey, do you want to be my friend? Like that's not how we go about doing things, but through the community we create at our chapters nationwide is we make that not an awkward conversation. So, each one of us, like if we could just dive into a hypothetical scenario, right? Like Jim, you're an instructor at one of our chapters volunteering in Tulsa, Oklahoma or something, right? And then, maybe Jay went through the program and was one of your students that graduated a year ago. And then I come along and, Jay goes, hey, man, like I ran into you wherever, and have you heard about this program? Come over here and check this out. And then next thing you know, I'm one of your students. And then now we're sitting there at jam sessions monthly after I graduate from the lessons that you gave me, and we're all getting to know each other. Well, the guitar makes that not weird. It makes it this beautiful environment to come together where it's not that awkward conversation of, I feel a little bit lonely and right. I need to share something cool with other people. Like, you don't just go out and do that.
And when you're in the military, even when during your off hours, you're still on.
Yeah.
You're in the military. You are in the military, a military branch for the United States of America. And so you do that for a number of years, and some you saw combat, I saw combat. It's different. When you're in combat, there's no turning off.
Yeah.
There's no not being, we joke often about people who sleep with one eye open, right? Military people often sleep with one eye open, right? It's something's not 100% right here. So my mind goes to, how do we get there? So then you serve your time in the military, you de-roast, you get out, right? And you step foot into civilian life, and you're straight up lost. I've been out of the military, quite frankly, since 1998. Yeah?
It's been a couple minutes.
It's been a couple of minutes. And my days are still that programmed. Yeah. I'm up at no alarm clock, 5:45 every morning. It doesn't matter. Usually it's 5:15. Often it's 4.
Yeah.
It's just, you're up. Your body is just so used to the structure. And then, I hate to say normal civilians, but regular civilians, you don't really understand that kind of thing, that you're entrenched and you're in this thing and you have this group of individuals. I appreciate you referring to building community, because when you're in the military, you've built a community of people who are all there serving for the same cause. You're in the military, you're doing the military thing for so many years. You do the combat thing, you're always on, you're always looking around, you're always checking your environment. It affects you. I'm going down a slippery slope here, but you might be able to understand. It affects you when you go, after you're in the military, when you've been in combat, where you sit in a restaurant when you go out to dinner with your friends or family.
Wow.
Like you have to understand that our brains they just get focused on everything that's going on around us sometimes. Sometimes
hypervigilance.
Hypervigilance.
Yeah.
You've been in, people behind the cameras here, you've been in meetings with me, and you've probably seen where I will it's not ADD, it's not me going, squirrel.
No.
Right? It's literally this many years later, we're talking 27 years later, right? Going, what's going on around me?
Yeah. You're taking it all in.
And you're taking it all in. So then you come out of the military and you're lost. For a number of years, I was lost. I didn't fit in. Guitars for Vets, I was unaware of it if it was around.
Yeah, well, 2007. So
2007.
You would have found it a little bit later.
Right. So I wasn't aware. But music, so let's go into that.
Yep.
Music is what got me the community I needed, introduced me to the community that I needed to be around. I was recently on a podcast where I said, music has always given me the most energy. It gives me the most positive energy. And so I feel you when you say that. You leave the military, it doesn't matter what branch you're in. You're so focused on what you're doing in the military. When you leave, it's hard to have a conversation with your good friend Jim, who's a civilian. Because you don't really
I wasn't in it myself.
You weren't in it. You don't understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I love the way you put that, Jay, because it's not meant to be like, oh, we're better or something. Like, that's not the point of it. It's, and sometimes it's hard to describe. It's just a shared lived experience of an extreme environment is hard to be able to understand unless you've been there. That's the thing. You're living in those extremes, and kind of going back to your hypervigilance. I think that's where it comes from, is every single minute detail matters of what I'm doing and what my teammate is doing. Right. And there's just inherent absolute trust among the team. And that's one of those factors that it's like, okay, born from the intensity of the training, every service has it, and it's meant to help shape our thoughts so that we are all thinking in the same logic train every day of mission accomplishment. So there's trust that comes from that, because all of us that have served understand that that occurs regardless of branch. And that's something that I know, Jim, from, our time that we've gotten to know each other, I know that you possess that attention to detail, and I know I can trust you. But before I got to know you, and that takes time to learn that, I didn't know. Whereas Jay, maybe there was an automatic assumption because of that shared military background that I could trust a little bit more from the get-go. And so I go, well, I think he's probably got some trust capital for me, because I know he's been through some hard stuff, and I know he's a combat veteran. Okay, life and death on a pretty regular basis in combat. And so it's just, I think that's the impulse, right? It's the feeling inside of a veteran where it's not like you're not a good person or not a trustworthy person. It's like, I'm going to reserve judgment until I get to know you for a long period of time, but is it worth it to spend the time to get to know you? And that's where the guitar is such a beautiful thing.
Such a great way. That was well articulated. So yesterday I had the, honor. It's always an honor to talk to Scotty Hastings on the phone, who's a graduate, right?
He is, yeah.
Yep, he's a guitarist for Vets graduate. Yep. He's turned musician, and not to give too much of his story, but I'll just say it like this: if we can say as clear as day, transparent. Scotty was in combat and was shot 10 times. I was on the phone with him yesterday. Just think about that. That's pretty wild, right?
To be shot once.
I mean,
it's a big deal.
Right. When you're shot once, it's a big deal. And he and I laughed about that. But 10 times. And I was having a brilliant, beautiful conversation with him. Well, he has some neurological issues because of that in his right hand. He can't feel. Yeah. He can't feel his fingertips. He can't do any of it. And he's a gigging musician that plays guitar on a regular basis. So think of that. So now you're a guitar player. So this is going to go out to guitar players, right? Taylor fans. You can feel the pick. Scotty can't hold the pick. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah. Or if you play with your fingers, you can feel the strings. Yeah. Scotty can't feel the strings. He feels pressure, right? Yeah. He can only use his thumb and his index finger, and the rest of them kind of just sit there. But he's a gigging musician. Yeah. It's just a thing that is just incredible. But one of the things we were talking about that kind of wraps this whole thing up is we often sit here as veterans, and again, you get this. Look, we appreciate that there's a day, right? But some of us wish that others would understand that to veterans, every day is Veterans Day.
Yeah, it is.
Because we're just reaching out to people and we check in to those people, those relationships that we forged. So my conversation with Scotty yesterday, we were talking about at one point, it always goes to combat. It always goes to a shared experience in some way, shape, or form to combat, right? And one of the things that we agreed on, and I was looking forward to asking you this, because a lot of people don't really get it. No one is as amazingly tough as you think somebody is, Marine, a Navy SEAL, an Army, Special Forces, soldier, a pilot, crazy helicopter pilots. They're crazy.
They're a different breed.
They're a different
I got a
breed.
lot of
They're
respect.
insane humans.
Yeah.
Anyway, but no one celebrates like winning the World Series going to combat. None of us do. It's scary. I was 19 when we got the call. And the funny part was they put us on leave, knowing that we got our orders. So they were like, you have tomorrow off. We're like, okay. At what point during the day are we going to get the call that we need to be ready to move 24 hours later? And that's exactly what happened. Yeah. But I'm 19 years old, and we get the call. And when you're with your community, when you're with your platoon or I was artillery, so we call it a battery. When I was with my battery, all the people that were there, you act facade tough. Yeah. You act like we got this. And then the first thing I did was go to the phone and call my mom and weep because I was scared. I was so scared. I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen. I do not know what's going to happen. And then you go into combat and you're there. I've told this story before where I was the first American armored vehicle across a boat bridge. It's a bridge that's made by a bunch of boats, right? And they kind of, and you basically, I was driving a howitzer, and you have maybe 8 to 10 inches on either side of that howitzer, and if you go off center a little, it's gonna flip. So I'm the first military vehicle, American vehicle, into Serbia or Herzegovina, and I drive up, and 10 Russian tank turrets turned at my face. And I got my section chief up top. He's on a 50 cal. And he says, he used to call me P. My last name's Parkin. He called me P. P-Funk, actually, is what he called me. He goes, P, you okay? Over the radio. And I was like, yeah. And of course, everyone who works with me knows that probably the next thing that came out of my mouth was exactly what you're thinking. And I said, yeah, I'm from Flint, Michigan, right? I'm like, yeah, I'm from Flint. It's fine. You know, nowhere in my time living in Flint, Michigan did 10 tank turrets point at my face. Yeah. But we have that thing. It's like all the fear that I had calling my mother that day happened. And you walk in, and then you occupy. And an hour later, people were throwing grenades at us. And what happens when people throw grenades? At first, people are like, are those grenades? And you're like, get down. Like, you know, you don't. But again, boot camp, basic training, that's exactly what they're trying to do. You're trying to bring all of us down to say, hey, we're all humans, and we're going to do this together. And we have to have this straight line of logical thinking so that we're all answering each other's or finishing each other's sentences and answering each other's questions. And it's brilliant. Did you have that fear when you went to combat?
Yeah. So my first combat experience was a little bit later. And so the squadron that I was assigned to had already deployed, and I had to get through SEER school and everything and then take some leave. And then I was flying a commercial chartered flight into Kuwait City to go join my squadron.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing.
Yeah.
When you fly commercial into a combat zone, it's just kind of
sounds
funny.
Weird.
It sounds weird, but hey.
So here's where the fear came in. And, you know, they tell us, hey, keep all of your protective equipment from gas attacks and that sort of thing, the suits and gas mask and all of that, because for those that remember that time, Saddam Hussein had, you know, a ton of Scud missiles. And so those were, you know, potentially equipped with biological or chemical weapons. And that was, you know, a big topic of the time. And so we were all, you know, equipped with like all these anti-nerve agent injectors and all this kit and everything to help keep us alive in the event of attack. Well, what did we do? Hey, everybody, you got to put your stuff underneath the plane because you can't have all this in the overhead compartments on the 747. And so we get on with basically like a Camelback. And so all of our gas masks and everything is underneath. So we land in Kuwait City, which is a prime target for these Scud missiles. And no joke, we get off of the plane. We had not received all of our gear. They were getting all the pallets off from the cargo hold of the 747. And we're on these little buses, and the whole airport's like blacked out. I don't know why. Like, what are there snipers in Kuwait City? Like, what's happening at this moment? Like, I don't understand what's happening. I still remember that being really confusing, scary moment. And then, sure as anything, we're just disembarking this bus, and the alarm starts going off for incoming Scud missiles. And I'm just going, this is where it ends. Like, in that moment, I just arrived, and this is where my life ends.
Yeah.
And I'm going to die a terrible death by like VX nerve gas or something, because I don't have any of my atropine injector. I don't have my gas mask. And so what happens? They herd us into a Connex box and close the door. Like, that's going to like save us somehow magically from this. So yeah, that was terrifying. And in that moment, I was like, whoa, wow, just mind blowing. And we could go on for days about the numerous other things that occurred in my career when I go back to combat as a forward air controller, calling in airstrikes with, ground combat forces like infantry and special operations units, which is when I ended up getting blown up in combat, wounded by an IED, which we talk about it in the military. Hey, where'd you get blown up at? Oh, I got blown up on the Euphrates River in Ramadi, Iraq in 2007, and we say it like it's normal. Like it's just dinner table conversation. And, Jim's probably over here like, wait, like what?
Right.
Like what happened to you? Isn't that odd?
So case in point, there's just always with veterans, it doesn't matter again, what branch you're in, you can trust that person. You know that person understands. There's no judgment. There's no judgment to fear. There's no judgment to PTSD. There's no judgment to experiences that you had versus them. There's no competitive behavior. It's like,
right.
You went through some stuff.
Yes.
Totally different than I went through some stuff. And by the grand scheme of things, you can look at it and go, maybe that was worse than what I went through, or maybe his or hers was worse than what, you know what I mean? But you have this trust, and you have this thing. So you're building, to segue back to Guitars for Vets, you're building a community for people like us to just be able to be in the same room and be able to be understood. And you're giving us what you learn in the military is we're going to give you a task. And when you complete that task, it's like the risk reward thing is just satisfying.
Yeah.
Like, I completed the task.
Well, it almost seems as though you also have to, in order to execute, in order to be rational, to make decisions, snap decisions, the right decisions, you've got to shut off other things, right?
Certainly.
It's your emotions, all the other stuff. Can you talk about how learning to play guitar is a tool for improving your mental health?
There are a lot of people that are probably really curious about, so you put a wooden instrument into the hands of a veteran and magically everything's better? No. Magically everything isn't better. And while the instrument is vital to the process, it is not only the instrument. It is the camaraderie. And the community isn't just two veterans like Nigel and Jay getting to know each other in a non-awkward, weird way because it's around guitar. And so there's that central bonding experience of being musicians and playing music together. We bond with you as well, Jim, as that figurative civilian instructor who doesn't have military service that's giving generously through the program. And now what do we start to do? I start to understand you. You start to understand me. I become a part of the community you're in. You become a part of the community I am in. And now we are just a traditional community once again, because we have this environment to get to know each other and understand each other. And it becomes worth it for folks like myself and Jay to spend time with you, or, what you represent as that civilian, wherever they're positioned in the community. And this goes beyond just the people that are directly involved in the program, because what do we have? We have local music stores that support our programs locally. We have folks like You name any civic organization in a town, well, they will very thoughtfully want to help the veteran community. And so they will see an organization like Guitars for Vets and go, hey, we want to help out locally and provide resources. And so now they start learning about what it is that we do. They get to know people that are associated with the program directly and individually. And now, once again, we're just expanding a better understanding of what it is that someone like myself is going through and the challenges that I face in each day of life. And then now it normalizes that interpersonal relationship. And now I'm not the scary veteran with PTSD. I'm not the scary guy that's 250 pounds and, has tattoos and looks like, I'm just going to peel somebody's face off, right? Like, that's what people think a lot of times. People look at me and they go, wow, that guy's scary. And I'm like, no, I'm like one of the nicest people in the world. I just like, being a nice guy,
It's funny. Sometimes when you get out of the military, hear me out. You're lonely, but you just want to be alone. Mm. And that's the hard thing to communicate to people. So organizations like Guitars for Vets, if I can bridge this a little, it's okay to be alone with other people. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
You don't want to be lonely, so you're trying to fix that. But sometimes you just want to do something by yourself.
Yes.
Guitars.
Yeah.
Right? It's not like all three of us have our hands on one guitar. It's me with this instrument, or it's Nigel, or it's Jim with this instrument. And veterans like Nigel and I are structured. We have this structured thing where we like when people kind of lay it out for us. And so now you're the instructor. We look at it like that, teacher, instructor, whatever. Yeah. So it allows us to be alone, but not lonely.
Yeah.
Well, I think too.
Does that make sense? But it's hard sometimes to articulate that to people.
I can relate to it, even though I get it, because like you can pick up. I mean, it's a poor comparison, but you have a stressful day at work, whatever it is, and you go home, you sit down with a guitar, and you can just decompress. It just takes the edge off. It's a way of stopping the motor from running up here. Because if you've got a racing mind, like it's a way to just completely change that, turn it off.
Yeah.
And so to your point, you could be by yourself playing, but then there's also the social aspect of it too. If you're, learning lessons, it becomes this currency, the shared connection, a different type of connection that gets created between people. But I totally get the,
and it's so remarkably giving. Like you feel this just weight off of your being. As simple as this: when he plays a great G chord and I play a great C chord, and we're complementing each other with some strumming patterns that you're teaching us. Another way to break this down is, we know this, our CEO, Andy Powers, one of our favorite things, and sometimes as a content team, you're like, maybe it's not a good idea to put a guitar in Andy's hand right now, right? Because what is he going to do?
He can't help it.
He can't help it, right? So it's that same thing. I've got a guitar at the house that kind of sits around the couch, and my wife, she'll be trying to communicate with me, and I know there's times where she's like, "Would you just stop?" But I'm like, just strumming chords or playing some patterns or playing some stuff, and it just gives us this moment gives me this moment. And it's sometimes selfish, but it's the greatest thing to just pick up and let yourself go. Yeah. And we as combat veterans are always spinning. You were so spot on when you said, you have a hard day at work, right? Yeah. Sometimes you just go grab the whatever on the wall. Yeah. I know you got a couple of tellies, right? Like grab the telly off the wall and grab the GS Mini off the wall. Yeah. Sometimes I'll grab a bass and I'm just fiddling around. And it's like, I swear, 30 seconds. It doesn't need to be a 20-minute every single day or 30-minute every single day. It's like 30 seconds. And I'm like, boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
On to the next thing. Time to make the donuts.
And it can channel any mood you're in, really.
It can channel any,
And that, so like so many different aspects of this conversation. I wish we could do like 50 of these because there's just so many cool topics that branch off from here. But I'll try to bring it back to a couple of personal stories that you made me think of as you were talking through that, Jay. And also, Jim, you know, as you were saying, like controlling the mood. And that's really what we strive for, is mood regulation, utilizing guitar through our program. That's an end state, right? Like it's the ability to do that. Now, do we always put it up front as like, hey, we're going to teach you this guitar so that you can regulate your mood? No, that sounds like super clinical, and it's just a huge turnoff. Most folks are just like, I just want to learn how to play guitar, man. Like it would just be cool, right?
Right.
And it's very therapeutic because now I can be creative with it and I can mold it into what I want it to be. And that's what all of us that play an instrument of any kind know, is that creativity that flows. Well, in order for me to allow that to flow through my hands, interfacing with the instrument, I can't be sitting here thinking about, wow, I wonder what I'm going to be making for dinner tonight as I'm sitting here trying to make this beautiful noise from this instrument, right? You can't have these divided thoughts in that moment. And so your focus becomes central to what you're creating. And in that moment, what we know through science is that playing your own or creating your own music activates every single positive hormonal center in the brain instantaneously, same time. You know, playing and making your own music with an instrument is one of the few things that can do that. When that happens, you're also triggering the regrowth of brain cells, which is one of the few ways that, you know, there's a collective understanding now that we do regrow brain cells slowly over time. But this is an aid that can assist with that. It triggers that process in your body to help regenerate. So there's not only the physical component of health that can occur through playing, but just it feels cool. It feels good. It has become in my home such a beautiful thing that my daughter, she's 11, and my wife and I'll be in the kitchen doing something, and my daughter will literally pause a TV show that she's interested in and watching because I've got a guitar like all over the house. There's a guitar in multiple rooms, and there's one that sits right under the television, and there's a GS Mini that sits right next to the fireplace. And it's like she can't help herself. She's drawn to it, and it'll catch her attention in a moment. Maybe it's a commercial that comes on or something. She pauses the show, and we're sitting in the kitchen, you know, where we're within earshot. And next thing I know, I hear her strumming and picking at the guitar. And my wife just looks at me, and it's just this feeling of joy. It just feels good in our home. This positive energy that our daughter is interested in that just on her own. Yeah. She's just it's like this instinctive thing to go pick up the instrument. She just wants to be one with the instrument. And then I'll hear her, and you can tell, right? When you hear somebody kind of working on something and they're just like, they haven't found like that thing to get where they want to go, whatever that thing is. And I'll hear her in one of those moments, and I'll walk out and I'll go grab another guitar. I'll say, hey, hand me that for a second. Let me see. What do you think about this? You know, and then I'll do some. So now we're connecting over something, and we're not just zoning out watching a TV show together. And then when we go on vacation, because of this, because it's such a warm, beautiful thing in our home, my wife is always like, if we're going on a road trip to go like kayaking at a lake or something, you only kayak so many hours of the day, and then you're worn out. Well, my wife's always like, make sure you take your guitar. Take your guitar. Because at the end of the day, like I'm smoked, right, from kayaking and stuff. And I'm going to sit there with my dog, my wife, and I'll bust out the guitar, and I'll just be picking at it, just making sounds sitting on the dock. Because now it's that moment of just relaxation, and I just ease into a whole different mood for the evening. So that's the thing that I really like to share about what we do at Guitars for Vets. And I think whether it's somebody that just loves playing guitar, they can appreciate it. Whether it's a veteran that really desires an activity like that can be used in a variety of moments. And what do I mean by that? I love kayaking. I love hiking. if I wake up just because I'm thirsty, it doesn't have to be bad. It's not like a flashback nightmare or something, or it could be that. Who knows, right? It doesn't matter the reason, but it's 2:30 in the morning and I'm up all of a sudden. Well, what happens to a lot of us? We wake up and our mind starts thinking about life responsibilities, whatever it is. And it doesn't have to be a veteran thing. Any of us, that can happen to us. Well, when I've got the ability to play a guitar, I can just, if I can't go back to sleep, I can just go walk to another room and just lightly just like strum on the guitar for a few minutes. And it just brings me back down and it takes my thoughts off of whatever was invading my head, life responsibilities or whatever it is that is causing me not to be able to go back to sleep. And now I can walk back in the bedroom and I haven't disrupted my family, but I can't do that with a kayak. I can't do that 2:30 in the morning for 5 minutes and get the therapeutic benefit, but the guitar, I can. And that's why guitar is so amazing and why we're such huge fans and why our program has been as successful as it has been is because it's intuitive. And I think anybody can appreciate the accessibility of it, the portability of it, and it is just a beautiful thing. And trust me, I'm a huge fan of all these other activities and nonprofits that offer things like fly fishing. I love it. I get immense benefit from those, and I seek those activities out as well. But the one that is the most universally available to me, and therefore the biggest impact in my life, is the guitar. And that's where we try to share that message with veterans. Yeah, it's cool. It's fun. And you don't have to be struggling hard with a traumatic brain injury to benefit from it. I wish I could put an instrument of some sort. I mean, I think guitar is particularly cool. I just happen to be partial to it, right? But like, I wish I could put some sort of instrument in every human being's hands because I think the world would be a much better place. And I don't mean that in some wild utopian pie in the sky kind of way, but like people that create music and make music, whether they're good at it or not, if they enjoy it, it is just such an amazing and beautiful thing. And it helps regulate our moods and it helps us just feel a lot better in life.
As humans, we often, even if there's not really technically, we hold ourselves to this thought that there is a barrier of entry to everything. No. How do you treat that soldier or veteran coming in? Like you often hear, I'm never going to be able to play guitar because I'm never going to be good at it. They have these feelings. I'm sure you get that with people who want to come into the program. How do you work through those?
Or they've got physical issues.
Or they've got physical issues too. Scotty, I'm never going to be able to. I don't think he did that. I think he was just like, I'm going to figure this thing out.
Yeah.
But how do you work with people like that?
I really love that question because it is one of the most frequently asked to me, social media, whatever it is, there's these preconceived notions. I'm too old. We have had veterans go through our program in their 80s and 90s and learn to play.
Oh, wow.
It's a matter of willingness and desire. And it's not that it's a super huge mountain to climb. And I'm not going to say that it is, you pick it up and you just instantly know how to play it in one day. We all know that that's not true. But we adapt to the veterans' individual needs. Things like we were talking about with hands or lack thereof. We've had folks with prosthetics and they've gone through our program because you can get an appliance that attaches onto, say, someone's missing a hand.
Totally.
Where it's a pick adapter. Mm-hmm. And so it holds the pick. And so while the experience may be slightly different from someone that is not absent what they were born with, body part wise, it's still an opportunity to be able to get connected with the guitar and learn how to play. It is individually adapted to what the veteran is going through. Now, do we have a framework that we try to follow because we know it works? We don't want to put too much pressure on the veteran of like, well, you need to define the whole course and you don't even know how to play this. So how do you know how to teach yourself, right? Like if you did, you wouldn't be here with us. You would have already learned how to play it. But what I find is that 10-week journey, week 3 to 4 is the hardest. And here's my opinion. This is a theory. And Jay, I'm curious as what your take is on this. So in the military, we go in and there's a very high threshold for pass or fail. It's just pass fail. You either did it completely right or you didn't. Or in some things, it's like 80%. If you get less than 80% on a written test in some schools in the military, that's a failing grade. And you're like, I passed my entire K through 12 at a 79%. So you're telling me I go in the military and a 79% is failure?
Right.
So we have this in our heads already. Now we come in and we're in a learning environment again, and we've been conditioned that failure is not an option, put a lot of pressure on ourselves, and the bar of where failure lies is really high. There's a very narrow window of success. And so what I felt going through the program was that weighing on me, learning to play the guitar, because week one, it's fun. I just met Jim, my instructor. Jim's a nice guy. Oh, he's so inviting, and he actually cares about me, and this feels really good, right? Like Jim cares about veterans. And wow, this is cool. Like, you handed me a guitar for the very first time, and I have this guitar to practice with now. I get to take it home today. Like, this is real. It's happening. Like, I've always wanted to do this. I'm excited. Okay, Nigel, all I want you to do is get your fingers comfortable with the D chord. I showed you the D chord this week, just between now and next Thursday, whatever it is. I just want you to play around with just, take your fingers off the fretboard, form the D chord, take them off, form the D, whatever it is to develop the muscle memory, right? Come back week 2. Okay, now we're going to add C and G. Whoa. So now I've got 3 chords I'm going to walk away with, and now I can play a full song, potentially after learning just 3 chords. And maybe it's different 3 chords, irrelevant which chords they are specifically. But you can see, all right, week 2, it starts to get real. There's some learning that's going to start to happen. And then week 3, when I can't transition fast between D and G at the rate that I would playing a song at tempo, I'm instantly in my own head starting to get down on myself, because I watched Jim go, hey, Nigel, I'm going to show you what you're trying to emulate, right? So Jim's going to play at tempo. Hey, here's a song we're learning, Folsom Prison Blues. I don't know, whatever it is, right? And, a fairly easy 3-chord type song. And so Jim's going to demonstrate, and Jim makes it look like Jim's been playing for decades. And it looks like I should be able to just pick this thing up and do this, no problem. And then now I can't. And I'm starting to get frustrated, and that fear of failure starting to load. And now we start having just a brief moment of week 3 to 4 is kind of where we see that mental and emotional challenge. And my instructor, he saw that frustration building. And I came back on week 4 and I was just going, Jerry, I'm just having a hard time. Like, this is getting frustrating. And that's not what we want. And Jerry goes, hey, it's all right, man. Like, there's no test. There's no test. And that's the beautiful thing about finishing, right? There's no barrier to entry, is what the question was, right, Jay? Is what is that barrier? And it's the ability to learn within 10 weeks is what we preconceive, that there's no way I will learn how to do what Jim can do in 10 weeks. That is the barrier to entry. But it was that, more about that mental component that I wanted to ask you about, right? Like, does that make sense to you from a military standpoint of why, like, at least that's where I feel my theory is kind of on track, is like, there's that pressure that starts to build, and it's self-induced, right? Jim's not pressuring me. Jim's being super cool, like Jerry was with me. And he just said, hey man, I want you to go E minor. Just go play around with E minor between now and next week. I don't even want you to look at the sheets I gave you an hour ago. Just go hang out with it, and I want you to come up with like your own little riff, and whatever feels good to you, whatever sounds good to you, that's your mission for the next week. And I came back and it was like breakthrough, boom. And all that pressure was off, because I was like, oh, I'm not in the military anymore. There's no graded outcome here. This is all about me just having joy and connecting with this guitar, It's so I don't know.
That's the lesson behind the lesson.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It wasn't as much about the chord. It was about calming down. Just calm down, man. Calm down.
I think it's really interesting that you say how you just described pass fail.
Yeah.
Because to maybe to bring it this way, Jim, like getting out of the military, I think I spent the better part of 2 decades learning that it's okay to fail and like embracing failure. Yeah. That you learn from those moments, you learn from those mistakes. And so I could totally see how you're like week 3, it totally aligns because that's the way it is. And I think over all these years of me learning that it's okay to fail, I still get stuck in those moments sometimes where you're like, and you get a little frustrated with that. But I totally can see that. Learning how to play guitar. Luckily, I played before I went into the military, so I already just knew this wasn't the thing. But it's spot on, totally.
Music speaks where words fail.
Absolutely.
We can't articulate what we're feeling, that we have this impulse when somebody goes, "Hey, Nigel, check out this program, check out Guitars for Vets." And I go, I don't know why I just did that, right? Like, I don't know in that moment why, but it's that thing that I just can't speak. But then we have folks that come through our program, and once they get through the program and they stick with their very awesome instructor that helps them work through that moment, just don't give up on yourself. And it's going to be okay because you're stronger than that and you'll get there. And then when people get to the end, it's just elation. And then they begin to get their words back because now they're like, oh, I can fail, but I didn't because I knew I could. So I kept going and therefore I didn't, right? I didn't sabotage myself.
Right. It took me 20 years to figure that out.
Yeah. Well,
after the military.
It's like you can't succeed until you fail.
You can't succeed until you fail.
And it took me almost as long, man. So I consider myself not a guitar player, but a guitar practicer. It's not that I have an inability to, like, I learned the chords and everything. I don't practice enough. That's a me thing. But I know that at any moment that I choose to dedicate more time, I'll make progress a little bit faster. But it's, we just don't have I don't have the same tactile feedback loop. And so therefore the muscle memory is going to take longer. Jerry did an amazing job, my instructor. What a great guy. Like, he got me confident. Like, I have no doubt that if I spent more time practicing every single day, I could be playing on stage if I wanted to. It's just that's not my pursuit of music and guitar. Yeah. My pursuit is I have a warm, deep relationship with this instrument, and I use it for beautiful things in my life. So mission accomplished, Guitars for Vets, right? Like, that was that moment. It was absolutely, this program works. Because I'll tell you what, our 21 guitar salute, we want to talk about that for just a brief moment.
Yeah, please. Yeah.
So really cool event for those that may not be familiar with it. Annual event that we do, sponsored by Taylor Guitars and Original Grain Watches, that we do at the national level, and we honor 21 recent graduates from our program in a particular metropolitan area. And the reason that we do this is to showcase to the world this triumph over all of these things that we've been talking about that are struggles. When a veteran or even a first responder passes, regardless of whether it's while they're in service or later, we're doing an honor of these folks that have overcome these struggles. And we're doing it as the 21 guitar salute. And it's while they're living and they're joyful. And it's about life and being vibrant and hope. And that's what the event's all about. So we're getting ready to do that here coming up for this current year. And I'm just really thrilled because that's an opportunity, again, to grow community and showcase for our communities the impact of the program. And 21 graduates to be able to hold what I know we're going to talk about in a minute, the backdrop here in the studio of these 3 amazing guitars that were done by Taylor Guitars and in partnership, and to benefit Guitars for Vets to keep the program going. We are going to be awarding at least the Americana and the camouflage guitar, the Camo Burst, as graduate guitars for this upcoming 21 Guitar Salute. And we are so thrilled to be able to do that and showcase that for the public and the world. And each of those veterans that went through the program and graduated that night, they come up and they've all got their own story. But all the stories, I don't want to minimize the uniqueness, but they're all the same. It's thank you They're blown away that a guitar could have this much positive impact in their life. And the next thing is like, how can we make this possible for each and every veteran that needs it? Like, it's like, it's this amazing thing that veterans want to give it to the next veteran. As soon as they graduate, it's just like this instinctive thing. It's like, I have to personally help make this possible for the next veteran.
So let's talk about guitars themselves, because when folks go through the program,
that's all I care to talk about usually.
When people go through the program, they get a loaner guitar,
Yes.
right, during that time if they need it. And then upon graduation, they actually receive a guitar. Right?
Yes, a brand new guitar with some accessories so that they can keep making music for the rest of their lives.
Okay. How is Guitars for Vets funded? What are your funding
Yeah.
sources?
Yeah, well,
because
I think
obviously you need to provide guitars to folks, and there's a long waiting list. So
there is. Yeah.
You want to grow. So that's the desire for sure.
Yeah, well, initiatives like this one. So by purchasing guitars through this amazing sponsorship and partnership with Taylor Guitars, that's a way where, you know, someone gets something really cool, a GS Mini, and especially a limited edition with, you know, I know it's probably not visible on the cameras. And of course, for anyone who, you know, is listening and can't see the video that, you know, we're on right now, but you know, our logo is emblazoned on the label alongside Taylor Guitars. And that's a very cool thing to be able to own because these are special editions. That's not something that is commonly done. So that's one great way, is through those partnerships and sponsorships. Folks can help support the program by donating brand new guitars. So somebody, you know, may purchase some of these guitars by going on Taylor Guitars website, and they could purchase them and give them. And we're still going to get a portion of those proceeds too to help fund the program. And then now they're giving the actual instrument in-kind donation right away.
Yeah.
That's another opportunity. And then of course, folks can go onto our website and make donations. I think that's one of the mainstays, is a lot of very generous folks all across our country that care an awful lot about the sacrifices made by our military and our veterans. They go, you know what? I have the means to be able to do this, whether it's $5 that they give every single month, and it's just a recurring donation, or they make a one-time larger lump sum. Those stack up. And that is a critical component of funding for our program. And that's really the message for folks that may want to do their part. They go, hey, I can't volunteer. You know, I just don't have time in my life to do that right now, but I'd like to help in some way. Please go onto our website and make a donation. That will help fuel this program for future veterans to come. And even better, check with your employer. A lot of employers do donation matching.
Yeah.
It can be surprising, and people just don't think of that because they're, you know, thinking this is a personal thing. Well, there's so many employers that also value that service in our military and veterans, and they go, hey, if you're going to be generous with your money, by default, we'll match it. Whatever it is that you want to do. You know, there's rules for each business and how they do it, but I'd ask folks that are considering donating to check, and folks that work at businesses that already have programs like that in place. Sometimes those businesses want to give back in bigger chunks. So maybe somebody goes, hey, the place that I work for is seeking a worthy place to donate money each year. I'd like to get you, Nigel, connected with my employer to have that conversation, because now they may be able to donate $10,000 or something on behalf of the company to help fund the program. So we get
That's great.
funding through sources like that as well. And people are very thoughtful, and they think of those things. They go, hey, I just don't have the means, but I know that my employer does, and I'm going to go seek that out and at least broker that connection so that we can start that conversation.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, you wouldn't believe how much just an introduction to something can help sometimes.
Yeah.
There are 3 guitars that are now out. 2 of them are GS Mini guitars designed with creative input from your team.
Yeah.
So the first one that came out was the Americana, and that's got some really interesting patriotic imagery on the front of it. So if you're on YouTube, you'll be able to see it. You can also go to taylorguitars.com. We've got the guitars on there, so you can see more images of the guitar. And then the second one that we released was the camo top with the burst on it, and that's a really interesting, cool vibe to it as well. And I want to mention that
you can't even see the guitar when you're playing.
it's hidden.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We've got dealers who are super interested in carrying these guitars too, so they are selling them as well. And then the third one is an even more limited edition release, and that's this gorgeous guitar. It's a black top guitar. It's based on our 814 CE, which is our flagship model. So rosewood back and side, spruce top. The rosewood on this is crazy beautiful. The book matching is amazing. It's AA grade, and it's figured. It's got just some beautiful abalone trim on the top, rosette, star inlays, feels super appropriate.
Yes.
But at the same time, sophisticated, elegant, and just a gorgeous guitar. And rosewood spruce, you cannot go wrong.
It's so brilliant. I'm a very, I like instruments that are often less ornate.
Yep.
I will say, that's magical.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's just, it's almost an understated bling.
Yeah.
That's so good. The star inlays are incredible. Dots on the bridge pins, just incredible. But I do want to say something. The Americana, it's almost, when you get close to it, it's almost as if it was wood burned.
Yeah.
Which is super cool, the way it's been done. Yeah, I love it. I love these guitars.
And it's because of the GS Mini, the GS Mini is just such an accessible guitar. So you can take that with you. You can go camping with it. You can take it.
You could take that one hunting.
Yeah.
No one would see you playing it.
Well, we took some of those to Alaska for a songwriting retreat that we did back over the summer. And so, of course, we were in the embargo period, so no one's seen this yet, but hopefully they'll get the opportunity to see it here soon. But we took one of each. We took one of the Camo Burst and the Americana, and I will tell you what, people gravitate towards each one for their own reasons. But I will tell you, they are both crowd pleasers. When I handed those guitars to some veterans that had not seen them before, and I handed the iconic GS Mini case that is super transportable, we're out off the grid in Alaska. Like, what a cool opportunity. We're out there in the woods, and I hand these guitars to these veterans, and they open it up. They were just blown away. And those became like attached at the hip. It was like they had those guitars everywhere for that week that we were up there writing some songs together. And all grads of our program going through a follow-on opportunity, which I know we definitely don't have time to talk about today, but located on our website, and it's called Your Chords and the Truth. And it's a follow-on program after a veteran goes through the instrument lessons, because it's meant to be progressive. It's a natural thing when we learn to let those emotions and creativity channel through the chords and the notes that we're playing. And then I want to put a story to that. There's something, and those words are starting to become possible in my head. So we want to be able to write those songs. And so that's why we developed Your Chords and the Truth, as a follow-on experience, as a continuation of that therapeutic outlet for veterans that just naturally are going to want to write their own songs for their own reasons.
Nigel, we cannot thank you enough for coming out and talking with us. Is there anything that we didn't cover that you would have liked for us to cover?
Probably a million things, but I would say in this moment, just a personal, immense gratitude of thanks to everyone. I've been to the factory. I've seen guitars being made there, and you can tell there's love put into each and every one of these guitars. And the decisions that needed to be made and approvals gained at Taylor Guitars. And I think, just based on what you all have shared with me in the past, it was an easy decision to make, but just one that, had to go through its process. And when it did, it resulted in the magic of what we see here today, and really the relationship that we've got in support of Guitars for Vets going to that next level. So thank you all so much. And thank you to all those that are in the audience that are going to continue to make this possible, because without all of that support as a community, we could not do this for veterans.
Well said. Thank you again. Appreciate it.
Certainly. Thank you.
It's always great.
I'm stoked to be here.